The United Nations Human Rights Office says impediments for access to food and relief for civilians in Gaza may constitute a war crime. A short time ago, the office also described attacks on civilians desperately trying to get food as unconscionable. The statement comes after health officials in Gaza said 27 Palestinians were killed near an aid distribution center and accused Israeli forces of opening fire. Let's get more on this with our Middle East correspondent, Matthew Doran. Matt, what more do we know about this incident?
Girish, good evening. It appears that this incident happened in the early hours of this morning as desperate Palestinians were lining up to access food at an aid site in southern Gaza near the city of Rafah. This is an area which has been under IDF control for some weeks now and means that Palestinians were being told to go and take certain routes into that area to access the aid distribution site. The IDF has conceded that it fired a number of warning shots towards some Palestinians who deviated from that agreed route, and when they didn't comply with those warnings, further shots were fired. The IDF has not commented specifically on the reports of the death toll or those who have been injured, but Palestinian health authorities say dozens of people have been brought in to hospitals across southern Gaza, many of them dead, many more of them wounded, and they are laying the blame squarely at the feet of Israeli forces in this instance. The rhetoric that we have heard from the IDF here is very different to what we heard earlier in the week on Sunday after another shooting near this same aid distribution site near Rafah, where the IDF accused Hamas of being behind that attack, of trying to fuel chaos and undermine the aid system there. This instance, the IDF is saying it is investigating what's happened, and we await to see further details throughout the course of the day here in the Middle East.
Matt, this is not the first time that something like this has happened, and one that involves the Israel and US-backed aid distributor Gaza Humanitarian Front. So is this throwing up more questions about the role of the GHF in Gaza?
Yeah, this is the third similar incident in as many days, and certainly it highlights the criticism which has been levelled at this new private aid distribution system run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. GHF, for its part, says that while it's been distributing aid, it has done so without incident, but it is wrapping that in a pretty significant caveat, Girish, of the fact that it is talking about what happens within the perimeter of its aid distribution sites, not what is happening outside in areas controlled by the IDF, and that is where this attack is meant to have happened earlier this morning, some 500 metres. Certainly the attack, in terms of what the IDF is saying it did, happening 500 metres outside the fence line of this aid distribution site, and other shootings that have happened in the last few days happening around 1 kilometre away from these sites. So GHF is saying it is doing the right thing here, that it has distributed millions of meals to Palestinians coming in to collect those boxes of aid, but it does, as you say, paint or raise more questions about this situation. The international aid community, the humanitarian community, is very critical of how this situation has played out, of Israel and the United States, for that matter's decision to back this new private aid distribution model, which it says is replacing something that had already been in force across Gaza, this UN-backed humanitarian distribution model, which was perfectly fit for purpose, but which Israel says is likely to be corrupted by Hamas, with aid being stolen by the militant group, something which aid organisations have rejected repeatedly. So this again is highlighting not only the desperation being experienced by Palestinians, but the inherent danger that there is at the moment in trying to access these small number of aid sites.
And man, what's the latest when it comes to the IDF's current offensive inside the Gaza Strip, and has more land been seized by Israel?
We have seen further heavy bombings happening in the last day or so, particularly in northern Gaza and also in Gaza City. The IDF continuing to issue evacuation warnings for parts of Gaza, which it has already told Palestinians to leave, including around Khan Yunis in the south and further evacuation warnings in the north. It is continuing to take control of land, and indeed the Israeli Defence Minister Israel Katz has said that Israeli forces should continue to move through Gaza regardless of any ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas which are happening. The estimates at this stage, Girish, are that at least 80% of Gaza is either currently under IDF control or is an active combat zone. Girish?
Okay, Matt Doran in Jerusalem, thanks very much for that update.